Hi, my name's Lindy Cowling. Welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. Email is info@lindycowling.co.uk, and the way to contact me is via email. Title of this short video this evening is Union Defined. Union Defined. The reason I'm bringing this video out this evening is I have been asked by 2 or 3 different people in the last couple of weeks, and no coincidence, these are people that are in a union, a twin flame union, that have come into a state of union but that are not together. So this is what's brought this video about, really, because I was explaining to them, because I could feel what had happened in their energy field and that they were in a state of union, but none of these were together with their actual twin, if you like. So let's start at the top here. So I'm going to define union in 2 ways here. I'm going to define it from the perspective of twin flame union, but I'm also going to define it from the perspective of the unity of all that there is and the unified field, which also goes hand in hand with that, and which is happening across the general population. So the 2 things are interrelated and both things are happening. So let's start from the template of twin flame union. So when we say, oh, the twins are now in union, most people's perception of that would be, they would think that twin flames, and again, if this is the first video you've watched, twin flames being aspects of the same soul in 2 different human bodies at the same time, known to one another. Most people, when you would say, oh, the twins are now in union, they would perceive that to mean that these are 2 aspects of the same soul in 2 human bodies that are now around each other in one another's lives, i.e. they are married, they are living together, they are working together, any one of those, they are best friends, they are lovers, they're under the same roof, any of those definitions. In other words, most people would perceive being in union with one's twin flame as being in a relationship with their twin flame. And although there can be aspects of that, that is not the way round that the true perspective of union is. The relationship aspect of it is the bottom of the heap, and it is not what's running the show. So let me backtrack, because I want to waffle here. Let me backtrack. Okay, so most people perceive twin flames being in union, meaning that means they're together. They're together as mates, lovers, husbands, wives, under the same roof. They're together. They've done it and they're together. Now, in a few cases, that is true. And there are genuine aspects of same soul in 2 human bodies that are under the same roof, or are working together, or are best friends, or are in one another's lives, are in communication. All of those things, or some of them. But in point of definition of what we mean in union, it is so much more a broader perspective. And in union, where it comes to the twin flame template, the template for new paradigm of relationships, the twin flame union as part of service, act of service template, the word union not only meaning defined as union, you and I are one, union, you and I are one, but it is the unified, merged state of the energy fields and the energy bodies in both aspects of soul, let's say both individuals, and it's the merging and the assimilation and the balancing out in a completed, reasonably balanced state of those two aspects of souls in two human bodies, having gone through their process, because that does not happen overnight. It's an unfolding process that goes on for years, where there's enough purged and balanced out, and an emerging has taken place where they are no longer really getting caught up in the pain body or the mental body or etherically or whatever. You know, it's balanced out enough where they're not tripping themselves up, or there's inner child stuff to be done, or the numerous things that can happen, or caught up in their minds and egos. They come into a state of union within them. I'm going to have to say individually, because it's the only way to explain it. In one another individually, they are balanced enough within, in a unified state within. They're not getting caught up in their own pain bodies or each other's stuff or each other's pain bodies. They're not getting caught up with all the other stuff that goes on with it. There's been a merging of the bodies, a merging of the energy fields. They've got to a stage in their inner process where they're balanced enough, where there's some stability with it then. And that is union, a union defined. A very small proportion of people in that state, where they've gone through so long of their process, because it does not happen overnight. It takes, for some people it takes a lifetime, and for some people it's a number of years. In fact, I've never met anyone where it doesn't play out over a number of years. Even the ones that are working together or under the same roof, they're growing all the time and adjusting all the time, and even those ones, they've usually been in each other's lives, connected for years before they actually got together. So they were going through their process then away from each other, which is commonplace. And this state of in the small percentage of cases where they are together like that, it's then much more harmonious, because it's much more balanced, because the merging has taken place. They've done their inner work, they've gone through the process, they've gone up through the rungs of consciousness. Like I say, they're not really caught up anymore. But what is more common than seeing that dynamic, because and I've said this many times on camera before, in an ideal world, it would be fantastic to see that being commonplace and that being the norm, really, that people that are aspects of the same soul in two human bodies all get to the stages where they're together in some capacity, which is beautiful and amazing to see. And and I've been through that, and I've also seen it, witnessed it up close and personal as well, and it's amazing energy to be around. It's wonderful for them, it's wonderful for everybody. What is more common, which this also a definition of union, which is the point I was making at the beginning of the video here, where I was saying that I was working with people that were at a state where their energy field was in a state of completion. It was a unified state. It was balanced out. They were not getting caught up anywhere. You could feel that. And they weren't around their twins, or not in communication with their twins, or not with their twins in the way they would have liked. Is those people are still in union. So the point I'm making here is you can be in union in a unified, balanced state of completion, having cleared, purged and merged within your energy bodies, and still not be nose to nose and face to face with your counterpart or your twin flame or whatever. And then you could say to me, well, surely when two aspects of same soul in two human bodies have reached a state of union, a unified, balanced state within, surely they find it even really difficult to keep away from each other, because it is a very intense connection, an amazing connection all the way along the line, you know, just as challenging as it is beautiful. But in a harmonized state, people would say surely they would find it even more irresistible to be away from each other, because it's actually balanced out. It's a funny thing I'm going to say here, but actually logic would tell you that would be the case, but in fact it's not, because when they come into a unified, balanced state, there's an irony to it, but they don't actually have any need or attachments for the other aspect of same soul in other human body. Doesn't mean to say that the amazing love isn't there, the amazing connection isn't there. Doesn't mean to say that they don't have, as a human being, some desires in that department, but they don't have that need anymore. They don't have that codependency anymore. That it's not in the same way, because they are totally complete and unified within and balanced out. And because true twin flame union are a new paradigm relationship template, an act of service template, true twin flames are not normally, in the normal sense of our understanding of it, relationship templated. Doesn't mean to say they can't be under the same roof or in some kind of relations, but it will never be the true ones that are out there. It's not conventional. They're really driven by the service element of it, and they work their relationship around that. And that's why it works. And in all the cases I can think of, that's why it works, because they're all working what they are. They're all working that energy. They're not living it in what we would term the old way, a normal way, where they meet and then get married and move in together and then don't do any of the inner work, or don't do anything that they can combine their energies towards, to channel it in a way, to channel it. The ones that do very, very well and balance it out are playing the service orientated part of it, because it's who they are. And the relationship, if we call it a relationship, the sacred partnership really is more correct, fits around that. And so they don't have, none of them that I can think of, that I'm thinking of here, they don't have conventional relationships. They have very unconventional things happening, even if they're under the same roof or married or whatever. It's always unconventional, and there's always change, and they're always learning, and they're always adjusting. And the ones that do very well are channeling those energies into a combined humanitarian kind of something, or a combined project, or a combined creative thing. They're channeling those energies through them. And these are the ones that have got to a stage in their inner process where they are, let's say, balanced enough to be around each other all the time, most of the time, a lot of the time, because it's balanced enough within them. I guess you could say enough of that merging and balancing out has happened, enough of that purging has happened, and it's been enough time they've been in each other's lives to hold it like that. So what I'm defining here is not just the original definition of union being, yay, the twins are in union because they are now together in some capacity in a balanced format, under the same roof, not under the same roof, friends or work colleagues, or they're working together towards something. That is one aspect of it, and it's the smaller proportion of what we see happening actually, really, truly. What is more common is, because of the length of time that process takes, running into years, what is more common is to see one or other of the connection aspect of soul, having come into a unified state, having come into a balanced state, having done the majority of the work is never done. That's why I hesitated there. You don't get to a stage where it's all done. You're evolving and expanding constantly. But having done the bulk of what was in the way, in a way, you know, they were getting stuck here and stuck there, stuck in the mental body, pain body, whatever, stuck in the inner child, stuff going on, whatever. What you most commonly see is one or other of them having got to a unified state within, a unified balanced state of consciousness within, a state of union within. So both states relate, because you could have like one aspect of same soul, twin flame, in other words, like that. The other aspect of the same soul, not like that at all, totally caught up in the pain body, or so totally caught up in the mind, or totally caught up somewhere else, which is a very commonplace to see it this way. And it would be incorrect to say that then both aspects of same soul were not in union. And actually it does it as an injustice to say that to the twin, if you like, that is in a unified state. Because I see it all across the world where one makes a decision to continue expanding going forward and can come into a unified state of consciousness and is in union with an aspect of masculine and feminine within. There has been a purging of all the energy bodies. There has been a merging of the energy bodies, but it's all come into a balanced format, and they are able to build on that state of consciousness, because that state of union within them can never be taken away once that's happened, and they can continue to expand and grow and build on that and go into other states of consciousness. So there are two different definitions of union here. I'm going to backtrack and say it again. Most people's understanding of union where it comes to twin flames is it's that point when the twin flames they will perceive it as that point as twin flames have made it, that they are under the same roof, or they are able to be in the same room, or they are able to marry, they are able to have some kind of relationship, some kind of sacred partnership, some kind of complementary oneness. Most people's definition of that is they can have that, and it's in a semi-balanced format where they're not at each other's throats all the time. It's much more balanced, it's much more comfortable, because all of that work has been done, that inner work and all that purging and all that merging over a period of time has happened. Their process, they've been going through their process. Most people's definition is twin flames in union have got to that point, that basically they can then be together. And I'm going to say again, in a small percentage of genuine twin flames, not the thousands that say they are or think they are or have convinced themselves they are, the genuine part of that template, in a small percentage of cases, they do get to that point without having to wait vast numbers of years to do it. And the ones that have got to that point seem to have connected in a run-up years before they actually got together. So they've met, there's been not straightforward circumstances, there never are. They've gone through their process and then they've ended up together. And those ones that seem to be very, very successful at that they're working towards the same goal, and it's usually a co-creative project, or they're helping their service to others. And that is part of the reason why the soul in a way is so at home with them being around each other, because it's a balanced format. They're channeling that energy in a way towards a service orientated thing. And again, the other aspect of union is there are many people that didn't even come down the route of twin flame union, that are in very high unified states of being. So they're in a sense a state of amazing union and balance within themselves. It's a state of consciousness that they can build upon and expand into and keep going up the rungs of consciousness. They don't need another person in front of them to activate that or trigger that or even enhance that. They don't need it, but that's not to say that they won't have it and they won't enjoy it and they might in a way not even, you know, kind of desire it, but the need is not there anymore because they're in a balanced, complete state within themselves, a unified state within themselves. And so when they are at that stage, there's an irony to that then, because they don't have the same need. They don't have that, even if they have come through the aspect of twin flame union, there's not that longing and yearning for each other in the same way, because they are in a sense totally complete within themselves. If they hadn't come through that route and they've got to a unified state of energy anyway, i.e. with a unified field with all that is, they're going up, they're expanding, they're developing at a very, well, it's a long process, but it is very fast when you're on those, when you're on those tracks actually. These are people, again, that they may not have come through the route of twin flame union. They may come through other rates of consciousness. They may have activated at higher rates of consciousness when they came here. Not everybody starts at the bottom rung and works their way up. These people have the opportunity, the same as twin flames that are not conventionally together in the way they would like, have the opportunity that if you keep expanding into that consciousness and you keep expanding into a unified field and a unified state, you can connect with other complementary connections that match your unified state, your state of union. And it doesn't have to be another aspect of same soul in same body. It could be somebody that is just very well balanced and a close match to your vibration and frequency, that is also in a pretty much a unified state, because they've gone through their process. They may have gone through their process in a totally different way to you, but they've got to that state within themselves. So it's the two definitions of it. And the reason I'm bringing this out is it came up a lot. It's come up about 3 times in the last couple of weeks, where people have got to that stage within themselves, all in genuine twin flame unions, but they're in at that total stage. You can feel it, you can see it, you can sense it, but they're not actually got their twin in front of them. And it's all according to your how you define union. And most people define twin flames in union when they are under the same roof, really. And like I say, it can be that way when they're balanced enough and merged enough and everything else to have that. But more commonly across the world, it is the unified state of being within the two individuals. It's hardly ever, I personally have hardly ever seen it where both are in that unified state, but still away from each other, because they seem to want quite naturally to be around each other, but then the irony is they don't need to be. That's that strange irony, because they're complete within, but they seem to want to be. And of course, around each other, everything is amplified. It is amazing to see, and it's amazing to be part of as well. So I hope that's kind of clears that up, really. Most people define union as being in a full-blown relationship with other aspect of soul, but it's just as much, if not more so, about being in the unified, merged state, balanced state of consciousness within. I mean, that is not separate from what I'm talking about here. It's the same. It all overlaps. It all overlaps. And even if you're nothing to do with twin flame union, you can come into a unified total state of energy, unified state of consciousness, balanced state of consciousness between masculine and feminine, all the energy bodies, and still connect with somebody in your unified state, and connect with somebody else that's in a unified state. You know, it doesn't really in that sense, it doesn't really kind of like matter. And it doesn't take away any of the aspects of what your entry point was, but it's a point worth making. And like I say, I'm only making it because it came up a lot in my work in the last few weeks. And, you know, people were asking questions, well, if I'm in this balanced, unified state now, why is not my twin not with me, you know, in the way I'd like? And it's because of all these reasons. It will never come in a conventional relationship format. It will always be very unconventional, because it's new relationship paradigm. It's a template for new relationships, and it's a service template for humanity. It's never going to be conventional, because the conventional way of relating hasn't been working, you know. So it's the redefining of relationships. It's the redefining of what union is. I mean, when we go back to the words I started with, union, if you break down union, like you and I are one, you know, you and I are one. Yeah, I mean, you can apply that to aspects of the same soul in another body, i.e. twin flames, or you could apply that to you and I are one, meaning you are one with your own higher state of consciousness. You are one with your own soul. You are one with your own your higher self. You are one with all that is. You are one with your essence. You are, you know, you can go on and on and on with it. They're just slight variations on that definition, but they all overlap. They all overlap. So I think that's all I need to say on that, because I wasn't planning to do a video today. So on that note, hope you found that interesting anyway. I will love you and leave you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and thank you for subscribing, as always, to this channel. Take care. Bye-bye.